Ah, the Sega Saturn. How we barely knew ye. You came in with plenty of promise as Sega's 32-bit entry in the 5th generation of gaming, and went with little fanfare and games not many want to or care to remember. Which is a shame because there was some good to be had here. Like one of the better games on the Saturn was Nights into Dreams, and if you got it in the big box, you would also have this included. This is the 3D Control Pad, a Sega controller for their 6th Rock from the Sun. No doubt a unique design completely different from the regular controller, but it would also become more recognizable when it was redesigned for Sega's next console, the Dreamcast. While that controller would be remembered in its own right, I would argue its older siblings should be remembered for doing a lot of firsts. One of those firsts would be the technical first to use a modern analog stick on a controller, and a very interesting one at that. You see, the 3D Control Pad was Sega's answer to Nintendo's 64 controller, and it beat Nintendo to market, making it technically the first to be used by the general consumer. The stick itself is very round and kinda slippery, and I sometimes feel my thumb will slide off unless I press my thumb down hard enough. It leaves an indent from the grooves. It was named the 3D Control Pad as the stick provides better precision in 3D games, not that this controller was the first to be 3D. A 2D controller never existed. Other inputs on the control pad include a smooth and soft D-pad, bet it feels weird being relegated below the selling point, where it used to preside. We also have a decent sized start button with a switch beneath it, used to switch between analog and digital modes. Digital mode disables all analog settings, essentially reverting it back to a regular controller. So there is a use for the D-pad if you're not comfortable with the stick. Then we also got the A, B, C, X, Y, and Z buttons, which were a common thing to find with most Sega controllers of the time. It's kinda sad that a unique controller such as this would be doomed with such a fate being on the Saturn. Is that a bad thing to say? I'm sure I pissed off a few people. But now it's time to go to the most important part of any controller, the back. I usually say that in sarcasm, but there are some notable goodies with this control pad. For one, we got some L&R shoulder trigger buttons that I've heard may have been the first to implement analog design, though I'm not 100% sure on this. It also has an interesting secret. When you press this tab and pull the cord up, you'll find a hidden port. Now, it wasn't used to connect a VMU. In fact, it wasn't used for anything. Sega had many ideas for extensions that would use this port, but nothing ever came about that made use of it. That's where the excitement ends on the back. All there is left is a Sega logo and other info. The basic stuff. But we don't need to know that crap, for we know exactly what this control pad is used for. So let's put the cord back in so we can try out some 3D games. Though the choices you can play with this controller is minimal, the number is still big with about 70 games, but that's still about 15% of the Saturn's library in total. The games I was able to try were of course Nights into Dreams, the game that came bundled with the control pad, and it played real fluently. I was very impressed. I also tried Sonic R, and it felt just as slippery as if I was playing it with the regular controller. Pretty sure I went to digital mode, but it didn't make much of a difference. It'll be a miracle if I ever finish a race in that game. The Sega Saturn 3D Control Pad in my mind is a solid controller that did a lot of firsts that usually goes uncredited. Its influence is still being felt today with not many knowing about it. Even back then it was hardly known about, as it was barely pushed as an equal to the regular controller. You might have only seen it on store shelves or bundled with Nights. But I would say you should get it with Nights or when getting a Saturn, so you can feel what it's really like to control a 3D environment with a 3D control pad. It's just really comfortable in my hands. I've always liked this design from Sega. Looking at it from this angle makes it look like it's a spaceship out of Star Trek. Got any fond memories with this controller/accessory? Tell me about it by leaving a comment. If you like what you see, be sure to leave a like. If you think others would like this, share the video around. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button pronto. This is BrianTheBlue, and I'll see you later.